to the Mount Calvary family and those of you who are watching throughout the community and those of you who are normally logged in to Live at the Hill. Of course, this is our first Wednesday of the month. We committed this time for the purpose of giving out what we think is critical and important information as it relates to voting. Again, these voter information sessions has allowed us to glean from some public knowledge and to make sure that everybody has what they need, the necessary resources, necessary information to cast your ballot. Mount Calvary, as your pastor, it's important that we get out to vote. It's critical. These are critical times. It is important. So thank God for Sister Muriel Jones, who has been instrumental in connecting us with her sorority as we are bringing these voter information series to you. Tonight, she has a couple of guests who are familiar, you may be familiar with, who's been with us before. Brother James and Ann are here with her tonight. And so we're looking forward to glean from some more information that they have in store for us. Listen, stay logged on. It's imperative. We've got to be informed. We must be informed voters. We want to be educated voters. Stay logged on. Don't get so busy during such a critical time. And then furthermore, make sure you cast your vote. Make sure you cast your vote. Hang around for a little bit. Don't log off. Sister Mary Jones is going to guide us the rest of the way. God bless you. Thank you for being a Hill Watcher.
Good evening. Thank you, Pastor, as always, for the welcome and the introduction. Just wanted to say good evening to Mount Calvary family and our guest, and just wanted to say thank you. There's been interest in this educational session. As I go back and look at how many watches, for some nights we've had over 400 views, and so it's very it's evident that people are interested and that they're looking at the information. So thank you for joining us. As always, I try to give you an overview of what the evening is going to be about. This is our last session. I can't believe we're only 30 days away from the election, but it is what it is. So tonight you will hear from Ann Prislin, who's my, what do I call her? She's my partner in crime. She will share with you information about, is it too late to register, the options that you have for voting. She will share some very important information with you. And then James is also a partner in crime, and he's gonna take us through a candidate guide, which lets you know who you're voting for. Yes, there's national people that we're voting for, but there's also local issues. And so, please stay where you are, don't leave us, and be a part of our conversation tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Muriel. I appreciate the introduction, and I'm glad to be back here with everyone from Mount Calvary. So if we could have slide 1, please. As you see, we've titled this 1 month to go. It's actually less than a month until Election Day. And thank you all for being with us this evening. Just a reminder that I'm a member, a volunteer really, with the Champaign County League of Women Voters. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan national organization that encourages informed and active participation in government. We do not support candidates or campaigns, but we do take positions on important social issues after research and extensive discussion. As you can imagine from our name, we are committed to the right to vote for everyone, and we work to encourage every eligible citizen to register and to become an informed voter. And speaking of registration, can I still register to vote? Next slide, please. As you can see from this slide, the answer to that question is yes. Even now, in early October, you have 2 opportunities to register to vote. The first one is online through the state of Illinois. That option is available to you until just before midnight on October 18th. at the State Board of Elections, and I have on the screen the link to that location. In order to register to vote online, you'll need to have your Illinois driver's license or state ID and know the last 4 digits of your Social Security number. You also have a second option. In Illinois, anyone can register to vote and vote on the same day. You can actually do that starting today at the Brookins Center Gymnasium in Urbana. That's from October 7th through November 3rd. You'll also be able to register to vote and vote on the same day at all early voting locations starting October 19th. One good thing about the early voting locations is that anyone in the county, no matter where you live, can register and vote at any of those universal early voting sites. So say, for example, you live in Rantoul or St. Joe, but you work in Champaign or Urbana. You may want to stop at one of the early voting sites in Champaign or Urbana on your way home and register to vote and vote at that time. If you're going to do that, please remember to bring with you 2 IDs, a photo ID and also another source that shows your current name and address. It can be on your phone, like an Amazon receipt or maybe another bill or a bank statement that you have on your phone. And of course, you can also register to vote and then vote right away on Election Day. Just a reminder that your best source for this information and all official information about the election is the county clerk's website at champaigncountyclerk.com. Next, please. In case you'd like some assistance in registering to vote online, the League has put together a short video that takes you through everything you'll need to do in order to successfully register online. And that video is available for you at the League's website, the League's YouTube page, and the link to that is shown on the slide you're watching right now. Next, please. So what then are my voting options now that I'm registered to vote? And here again, you've got 2. Your first option is to vote by mail. And let me take a moment to talk about that. I did say it was an option, and it is. Some of you may have recently received a letter from Secretary of State Jesse White's office that talked about the opportunity to vote by mail. Some were concerned about this letter and thought it meant that voting by mail was the only option they have. That is not the case. Voting by mail is an option. It is not a requirement. Just so you know where that letter came from, the recent election law required the Secretary of State to send such a letter in September to all those who had not yet requested a mail ballot. The law also requires that the Secretary of State send a second letter mid-October, again to the list of people who have not requested a mail ballot. So if you do get another one, don't worry, it's just a reminder of that option. So let's suppose you have requested your mail ballot, you've completed it, how are you going to return it? You have 2 options. One is to return it through the Postal Service. There is no postage required. Remember to sign the back of your envelope before you put it in the mail, and our county clerk recommends that if you are going to mail it back, that you mail it on or around October 21st to make sure that it is received by the county clerk's office quickly. Regardless of when you mail it, your ballot must be postmarked on or before November 3rd. You have a second option in our county with the new secure ballot drop boxes. I've included a picture of one that was just installed at the Brookins Center. I'm sure you can see that it's a bright, it's yellow in my mind. It may be orange from where you're looking at it, but it's certainly bright, and it will not be confused with mailboxes or FedEx boxes or any other kind of postage box. The color is very distinctive. These secure boxes are available to you 24/7. They're at 7 permanent locations throughout Champaign-Urbana. But again, a reminder that if you're going to put your ballot in the drop box, you need to do that by 7 p.m. on November 3rd. So I'm going to pause here for a moment and show you a short video that the League has put together about voting by mail. It's a conversation between a grandmother and her granddaughter. The grandmother has some questions about mail voting.
Grandma, what's the matter?
Oh, I'm frustrated. I'm registered and really want to vote in this election, but I'm scared to stand in a long line at the polls.
Why don't you vote by mail? That's what I'm going to do. I'm so excited.
Oh, can we do that in Illinois?
Yes, any registered voter can request a mail ballot. You don't have to have a reason.
I didn't know that. How do you do it?
It's easy. We could do it right now. You'll have plenty of time to get your ballot in the mail, fill it out, and return it. Ballots are mailed to voters starting September 24th. I've learned voting by mail is secure. Your ballot comes in a specially marked envelope. You fill out the ballot following the directions. There's a place for your required signature on the return envelope. When your ballot gets back to the county clerk's office, that signature is checked against your signature on file to make sure that ballot's from you. You can track your ballot online from when it's sent to you until it's received at the county clerk's office. And you don't have to worry about fraud. Nationally, over the past 20 years, there's been only a tiny number of cases of fraud using mail ballots. There's a bigger chance that you'll get struck by lightning. But if you're nervous about putting your ballot in the mail, you can use one of our county's secure drop boxes. Don't worry about fake ballots either. Like everyone else's, your return envelope has a barcode unique to you. The office scans the barcode when your ballot is returned to verify it's your ballot. And our county is prepared. The office already has scanners and sorting machines and has trained people how to use them. Republican and Democratic election judges work together to verify all the ballots. Very secure. If there's any problem with your ballot, the election office contacts you. You'll have a chance to correct whatever's wrong.
Well, honey, that sounds reassuring. Voting by mail does seem like a good option for me. How do I request a mail ballot?
Here, Grandma, let me show you. You'll see, it's so easy. We'll request your mail ballot online using the county clerk's website. Grandma, let me know when you get your ballot and have it filled out, okay? We can go mail our ballots together.
Thanks very much for showing that video. I hope it answered some of the questions that you might have had about voting by mail. But let's talk for a moment about your options for voting in person. Next, please. You can vote in person at any of the 12 early voting locations in the county, October 19th through November 2nd. As I mentioned, you can vote in person at any of those regardless of where you live in the county. You can also vote on Election Day, November 3rd, either at your home precinct or again at any of those early voting locations. For a list of all the in-person locations, both early voting and on Election Day, please check the county clerk's website for all of that information. And just a reminder that all of the in-person locations will be following Champaign-Urbana public health requirements as far as social distancing and other sanitizing methods that are used. And we ask all voters who come to vote in person to please wear a mask. So regardless of whether you vote by mail or in person, you're going to have a ballot. Next, please. What is on my ballot? Actually, as of right now, you can look up your sample ballot on your My Voter Information section of the county clerk's website. I don't know if you can see where I'm standing, but I've printed off my sample ballot. It's on 2 sides, and I plan to use this to research the candidates and mark who I plan to vote for. Just a reminder for those of you who may not have voted before is make sure that you fill in the oval in front of the name of the person you want to vote for. Fill in that oval completely. That way the machine will for sure read accurately the person that you want to vote for. You can take your sample ballot with you into the voting booth, but it's a really good way to learn ahead of time who the candidates are. You'll also see on the ballot 2 referenda items, and I just wanted to mention that to you briefly because the text of those items will be on the ballot. One item will be at the beginning of your ballot, and a second item will be at the end of your ballot. The first item is a state income tax referendum that would be actually a change to the state's constitution. In order to amend the Constitution, and I have a text of what that referendum would do, in order to amend the Constitution, either 3/5 of those voting on that question have to vote yes, or a majority of those who are voting in the election have to vote yes on that referendum. As you see, the referendum would change the current state income tax, which is the same rate for everyone, to what's called a graduated income tax, granting the state the right to impose higher tax rates on higher income levels. And full disclosure, as I mentioned at the beginning, the League of Women Voters does support issues. For over 30 years, the League has taken the position in support of a graduated income tax. I wanted you to know that, just so you know where I'm coming from. But it's your choice on this particular issue. And in a little while, my friend James is going to be sharing with you another way to find out information about this item. The second item asks voters in Champaign County if they want to allow the county to increase the property tax rate in order to support the Champaign County Forest Preserve. But I really encourage you to print your sample ballot and take a look at the language before you actually vote. So that's the information I wanted to share with you tonight about registration and voting, and I believe Muriel and James will be coming back with some more information.
Thank you so much, Ann. I do have a follow-up question for you, though. So you talked
Sure.
about the letter that we'll receive. So we talked about the letter that's coming from Jesse White's office. And you mentioned that there will be another one that comes out in October. Will you receive that letter if you've already voted?
To my knowledge, you should not.
Okay.
For example, the Secretary of State is getting the list of people to send that letter to from all of the county clerks throughout the state of Illinois. They will be sending the Secretary of State a list of people who either haven't voted or have not yet requested a mail ballot. So that's what should happen, but I can't promise that. Okay. Thanks for asking.
All right, thank you. Well, James, come on up. And there's a few things I wanted to add before we start with the guide. So hopefully you joined us for the presidential watch party that we had on September the 29th. But tonight there is a vice president debate. And so it starts at 8. The Zoom meeting will start at 7:45. If you joined Alpha Kappa Alpha Epsilon Epsilon Omega for the presidential watch party, it's the exact same link. And so you can find that, of course, if you're one of my Facebook friends, it's on my Facebook page. It's also on Epsilon Epsilon Omega's Facebook page as well. I also posted it in Black Greek Life Organization, Black Greek Life Network Facebook page. So it's on several sites. And so please join us for that debate as well. So James, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
And so James has created the website that we're getting ready to look at. And so, it's chalked with all kinds of wonderful information. And so who better to ask about the information than the person who created it? And so James, could you first give us the URL that people, of course we're on it now, but if they want to look at it later?
Oh, absolutely. The website, you can get to it at votechampaign.org, just votechampaign.org, so it's very, very easy.
Okay, all righty. And so this is the first page. Once you go to that, once you put that in your computer, this screen will come up, and it says voting is very easy, and it takes us through quite a bit. If we move up a little bit, you'll see a couple of options. It says check your voter registration. You can verify, you can update, and come down to this a little bit more. And then you can also register. And so Anna's already given you information about how to update, how to register. But then the source, what we want to go through today is the guide, the candidate guide. And so how do we get to that, James?
So the candidate guide, you were showing right at the front page. The very first button has the link to the candidate guide. It's also right there for researching the candidates, because it's really important to register, research, and vote. So we have the link right on the front page, and yeah, it's very easy to get to.
All righty. And so one question would be is how did you gather all of this information? Were candidates willing to easily give you information? Share that with us.
Yeah, so we start with the Illinois Board of Election, because that's where the candidates file their paperwork, and also with the county clerk to get a list of all the candidates running. So we try to gather as much publicly available information as we can as a starting point. And then we ask each of the candidates a very basic candidate questionnaire. Some of the candidates are really quick to respond, others are a little bit harder to get a hold of. Any candidate that did not respond to our questionnaire, we let you know in the questionnaire, that they did not respond to it. And then this is after multiple attempts. Like we try calling them, we try emailing them, we try contacting them through social media. We also try contacting them through their various parties. So if they're a Republican or a Democrat, we let the various parties know, hey, we haven't heard from these people yet. So we try very hard to get a hold of every single politician, and most of them have answered. So most of them in the end are, they want to get their information out there. So.
Excellent, excellent. And so if you've been looking at the screen as we've been talking, it gives every election that is up for office. And so you can go through, if you're interested in just specific ones, you can go to that. But truthfully, as Ann had mentioned, you might want to just go ahead, print your sample ballot, and then go to this website. And then that way you can look at every one. You can kind of fill out your ballot before you go to the poll, or if you're doing your voting from home, you can have that information right before you get ready to fill out the real ballot so that you know exactly who you're voting for.
And the great thing with the sample ballot is the election is one of the few tests where you're able to bring in outside notes. You can actually bring that sample ballot with you that's all marked up with your personal notes and bring that with you to the polling location. Or if you vote from home, you can just do it, on your coffee table. But
are there any races that you want to not necessarily highlight, but some of those that people don't really pay much attention to?
Easily the biggest one in my book is the circuit judge. That one is countywide, and it affects like family court and criminal court, and anybody that's been through court knows that the judge can make a big difference on just the outcome of the trial or just how things go. And you don't often get an opportunity to vote on the judge. And this election, there's actually 2 different judge positions up for election. And on the guide, you can research the different candidates, but I feel that both candidates are, there are differences between the candidates, so that's a very good local opportunity to have a vote that matters.
One of the things that Ann had mentioned was that there's 2 referendums on the ballot. When we met, I think it was a couple of months ago, we talked about the graduated income tax, and we actually had a debate about the pros and the cons. Since that time, there's been another referendum added, and so could you share some information with us about that?
Yeah, that's, I believe it's all of Champaign County that votes on it, but it's the Forest Preserve or Forest District. They're trying to raise property taxes just for the years of 2019 and 2020, and it's just like a very tiny increase in property tax, and it will help them cover maintenance for a variety of projects that have been in their backlog. So they have a lot of different maintenance projects that they've been wanting to work on but haven't had the resources for. So they're trying to generate just a little bit of extra property tax for that. And then we provide information in the guide on the exact text of that, and then information on how to get more information on it. So.
Okay. And so, of course, we know we've got the president and the vice president on the guide, but for those people who may be watching us out of state, share with us who really, other than the national candidates, who is going to be on this guide?
Well, and actually, that's one of the only ones that we don't cover. We don't cover the president because
okay.
we figure that that's going to be covered by the news, and
Gotcha.
everybody already is aware of that. So we cover every other contested election in Champaign County. So there's other elections that may only have one person running, and so we don't bother covering that because your vote doesn't really make a difference on that one. But so we cover in Champaign County, we cover every single one that's up. And on this election, there's a whole bunch of them. It goes from U.S. Senate to U.S. Congress to Illinois Senate to Illinois House of Representatives, circuit clerk, circuit judge, county recorder, county auditor, and county board. So there's a lot of different things to take a look at.
So I've asked a few questions. Are there some things that you want to highlight or things that you want to share with us in reference to the guide or any other voting issue? Because I know you just you do that voting stuff.
Yeah, definitely. We try to make the guide as simple as possible because there's so many different candidates that are running. So we ask them just a very basic 4-question questionnaire. And then if people want to get more informed on specific candidates, we have a variety of other links. We also feature the League of Women Voters candidate forums. Those are often videos where the candidates answer the same question back to back. A lot of ways, if I'm undecided on a candidate, that's one of my favorite ways to learn more about the candidate, is to hear in their own words, how they answer different questions. So I always think that's very critical. I also strongly advocate that, if you become informed as your own informed voter, then that gives you the power to inform your friends and inform your neighbors, and you can be that source information for them. So being an informed voter is more than just your vote. It can, really replicate the power of, what you can get out there.
Excellent, excellent. One of the things I think we highlighted the last time, and I want to make sure that I mention it again this time, is that you need to have a plan to how to vote. Your plan might be November 3rd, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go stand in line and I'm going to cast my vote. But you really want to think through that also, because will there be a line? Can you stand up for a long time? Do you need to bring a snack? There's some things that you really need to think through. I plan to vote by mail. I don't plan to put mine in the mailbox. I plan to hand deliver mine to Brookins. And so we all need to have a plan. I would encourage you, talk to your friends. As James says, it's not just about you being informed, but sometimes people, they don't even think through it. They don't even think they need to think through it. And so have those conversations with at least, I'd say at least 5 of your friends, family members, sharing with them things that, and you're not trying to convince them who to vote for, because that's not our role. Our role is to make sure that they're informed, make sure that they've thought through, how am I going to actually vote? How am I going to make sure that my vote counts? And so you want to take some time to make sure that you've talked to people, and who knows, you might end up, asking people if you're going to go to one of the polls to vote early. Would you like to ride with me? Do you have transportation to get you to the polls? We just want to make sure that we cover all bases, because as Pastor Johnson says, voting is very important. We're in a critical time in our nation. We want to make sure that everybody's vote counts. And so just kind of to remind you, please have a plan to execute your voting and to make sure that you help anyone around you to also be able to cast their vote. And so we're not going to keep you any longer this evening. There is the vice presidential debate this evening. We want to make sure that you have a time to go get a snack and make sure that you've logged on because I think that's going to be a very interesting debate as well. So thank you for your time this evening. Thank you for your time spending with us for all of the sessions that we have. And thank you to Pastor Johnson for coming up with this idea that we needed to have educational sessions. Thank you to Ann Prislin with League of Women Voters. Thank you to James Manrique. I always mess up your name, so James Manrique for his work with us, and anyone who contributed to our getting knowledge out to the citizens of Champaign County. Thank you for your time. Have a nice evening.